Oh, go. What happened to the countdown? I
You
missed it.
had the
I
countdown.
missed it.
Hey y'all.
It was there, Dre.
I put my head down.
Oh my goodness. Okay, hold on. Let me just make sure it's
And when I came back up, all I saw was go. Go time.
hold on. No, it's not. Oh, there we go. Oh, I see it,
Okay.
but I don't see it.
Oh, oh, it's a little luggage.
I was trying to share it into. Oh, here we go. Okay, hold please.
I'm telling you, this technology.
Okay. All right. All right. All right.
So
All right.
I will tell y'all right now.
Yes.
Normally on our Tuesdays, this is for everybody because we have to put this disclaimer out there. Normally on our Tuesdays, we don't have any kids in here. They in here today, so you might hear them in the background.
I don't know about no might. I think you are.
So I just want to throw that disclaimer out there real quick. Don't let them stop you from doing your show.
Yeah, so if we have to take an intermission like I did the last time because the screen was falling over, y'all already know. All right. But seriously, welcome to another edition of An Unscripted Beautiful Life. Tonight, we are talking about the power of relationships. And I
Mm.
have none other than my beautiful sister, Yolanda Brunson. Hold on, let me pull up the bio because I have to read it. Yolanda Brunson is a dynamic entrepreneur, empowerment leader, and the chief executive artisan of YODEL Jewelry Box, where she helps women express their unique style through handcrafted statement jewelry. Her signature, Women Who Shape the World collection, has become a bestseller, inspiring confidence and conversation. Beyond jewelry, Yolanda is a passionate advocate for women's empowerment. She creates a Black woman's experience, fostering courageous conversations and strategies, a coaching program for women in business. She also founded Dreams on the Beach, a self care retreat focused on spiritual, mental, and physical well being. A sought after speaker and mentor, Yolanda continues to create safe spaces for growth, sisterhood, transformation, helping women step boldly into their purpose. Hey, beautiful.
Hey, beautiful.
How does
Woo.
all of that feel when you hear somebody else reading it?
Hold on.
Listen.
Before you get going, I heard artisan in there.
Yes.
I'm a food person. That's not like the artisan cheese, is it?
No,
All
it,
right,
it
all
just
right.
means
No.
creative
Okay, okay,
designer.
okay. I was like, she making some cheese. I need some. I love
No,
artisan
Dre.
cheese.
No
I'm
cheese.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's your show. Your show.
Unless
Your
I'm
show.
making some cheese, some cheddar.
Yeah, there you go. There
Yeah.
you go. There you go.
Hey, Frida. Hey, Anna. But no, seriously, how does that feel when you hear us read your bio?
It feels amazing. That is me. I am that person. And to hear it, because it took me a while to come into that person. Um, I definitely love growth, even though painful sometimes.
Hmm.
But if you lean into something, it's going to eventually teach you something.
That's
And
good.
so that is what this journey has been about for me, all 53 years. Um, just learning. And so when you read that bio, I can identify, say, yes, that's me. That's me. And God is not even finished.
I know that's right. I
Just getting
know that's
started.
right.
Do you
So
understand?
I have questions, but we're going to flow, right?
Yes.
Um, as however the conversation goes. So feel free to interrupt if there's something you know how you
Always.
do. All right.
Always.
So your work that you do focuses on creating spaces for women, right? Helping us create sparkling relationships. And so out of that, you have a women's experience and strategies. What inspired you to start those? Or just even creating the sparkling. I thought that would have been the tagline you use because you say that all the time, but you didn't have that in
Uh-huh.
your bio. So you might need to add it because everything that you really do, it does create a sparkling relationship. So talk a little bit about like what inspired you to I guess, redefine the narrative surrounding relationships.
Just a sprinkle though.
Just, yeah, just a sprinkle,
Sprinkle.
because she's coming to the conference. So you will experience her in full at the conference.
Mhm. I guess because I am a person who's a firm believer that no one can be an island unto themselves, that you need relationships, whether you want them or not, you need them in your life because they're transformative, they're powerful when you nurture them. And because I love cultivating sparkling relationships, and because I design and make jewelry, right? So, as a creative, when I create something, when I just look at the bare bones of it, it can be just a string of beads. Well, I know that I'm going to create something out of it, no matter how it started in the very beginning, but how I work with it, how I nurture it, how I look at it differently, it's going to ultimately turn into something else. And that's just like in relationships. And I have a heart for women, I have a heart for our sisters. And just being, I mean, because we're some amazing people. And when we collectively get together on one accord, there is nothing that we can do. We are so powerful beyond measure. And sometimes we may even shrink back from that light. But when I create a safe space, I want you to come towards the light because there's more inside of you to shine, to bring forth, to nurture and to grow. And sometimes you just need another sister, to be able to bring that out in you. I also want you to come and be yourself, be your authentic self, because you don't need to come in thinking you're somebody else, that you're not going to belong, because you already know the spaces I create. I don't entertain drama. If you're not authentically there to help a sister, if you're not there for a heart reason, for yourself to grow, you're at the wrong table. You're really at the wrong table. So I really, want people to come and just be yourself. Just be who you be and allow, another woman who may be just a couple of valleys ahead of you, love on you, to be able to nurture back, because that's really what I'm about. I have just this amazing small circle, but then I have a whole big circle of women that I normally say my bench is deep. And it really is, because you are who you are and how you present to others. If you're presenting something lovely and beautiful, that stuff is going to come back to you. And some
Mhm.
relationships are established not just over time, but the foundation has already been laid. So having the foundation already be laid, you don't have to talk every day. You don't. But they already know your heart because they've already been in some sort of relationship with you, or at least got a glimpse of who you are and who you be.
I
So I
think
think that's key.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say, I think one of the biggest things, when it comes to creating the relationships and opening up and changing the narrative from, women don't get along, to understanding that in order to enter into a relationship, that you have to be vulnerable. You have to come in and be willing and open to share the parts of you that we kind of hide behind, because we
Hmm.
can't be authentic if we're not allowing the wall to come down for the healing to come in place, or for the connection that needs to take place with another sister, or even a gentle, your spouse. Like, because when we talking about relationships, we talking about women and men, right? Because I have to be vulnerable with him and vice versa. We can't create a sparking relationship if I'm not willing to open up and be who I'm supposed to be, right? If I'm wearing the mask, then he never gets to truly experience all of me. And I think that's the same when we enter into sisterhood, right? That it's vulnerability has to come with it. Otherwise, we'll never be authentic.
And that is
Hey,
so true.
y'all.
Hey, y'all in the chat. But that is so true. If you're not coming in as your true, authentic self, And sometimes I understand that, coming into a new relationship, one, people want to look and see, okay, is this going to work? I've been hurt before. So, and if you haven't dealt with any of those things, new budding relationships going to always feel hard
Mm-hmm.
because you have all these defenses up. But if you come in, like you spoke about being vulnerable, being open, um, and not closed off, and just being open enough to give a relationship a chance, you'll find that, okay, it's not that bad. But first, you must deal with your own heart. You must
Exactly.
deal with, whatever mindset that you're coming to. Because what pains me, and I've said, y'all heard me say this before, is when, on social media, a lot of times things are presented differently than they really are.
Yep.
But however, when they come up with these Facebook groups, building relationships or friendships, it pains my heart when I read a comment of a sister that I don't have any friends. In a world with where there are so many women, I don't have any friends, or they see a nice reel that's done with a bunch of women possibly going out or doing brunch, and someone in the comments says, I have no one to do that with. This goes back to my why I create spaces for
Mm-hmm.
women just like that to be able to come and feel a part and feel wanted, because I understand what rejection feels like. I understand also what abandonment feels like. So that may also be a reason for part of my why I create these spaces, that I'm hoping people come and just really network, love on each other, and get to know one another. Because one meeting or one encounter, I mean, this is something you have to personally build upon, because
Mhm.
relationships, they shift, they change, you grow older, you get wiser, and sometimes you change in a relationship. That doesn't mean that the relationship didn't work. It just means that possibly I've outgrown it, or it gave me the nourishments that I needed. Now that I have roots, I now know how to go and plant elsewhere. Because sometimes relationships are just sometimes just the shade. And sometimes you just have to go and branch off and build, but never forget what your roots are. Never forget who you be. Always take you with you, because you go wherever you go.
I think that's the biggest thing people have to understand is that, when you look at relationship dynamics, some they will fade, right? It's that whole what's the saying, like the seasons, reasons, and whatever that thing is. Like we
Hmm.
we think sometimes that the people, like let's say that we grow up with, are the same ones that we're supposed to come do life with forever, but that's not the case because we
Oh,
all learn differently, right? We all figure out our different likes. And then we realize, oh, this relationship isn't working. And I think sometimes we'll stay stuck in a relationship when we've outgrown it, or, it's never needed to, maybe, or we realize, oh, I should have never been in this relationship to begin with. Right. And then now it's like, oh, now how do I get out of that? And some oftentimes we'll stay in a relationship, but for that fear of, well, if I leave this relationship, but I don't have another one to go to, then I'm stuck. You know what I mean? Then I'm gonna be alone. But understanding that that's part of the cycle of relationships. Like we are not always going to stay who we came.
Mhm.
You're not gonna always you may not always have those sandbox friends.
Yeah.
no,
Because God put people in your life for a reason,
for a
and they
reason.
come and go, and they come and go, and just because they came and they went, don't necessarily mean it was a bad thing.
Hmm.
You have relationships that you fall out all the time. Sometimes we just outgrow each other,
Yep.
or
Mhm.
somebody might be stagnant and they happy where they are, and you're trying to get to the next level. So then you just have to cut that. I don't want to say dead weight, but sometimes you have to cut that dead weight. It's just like when you lose weight. The only way you can get it off is by working out and cutting it. So that's how I look at it. And relationships are there for everyone. I always say this: God didn't create us to be alone, and
That's right.
that's in your marriage, that's in your friendships,
That's
that's in
right.
everything. We weren't created to be alone. We are, as Trina hates probably when I say this, but we pack animals. Like we supposed to be together because we learn from each other.
That part. That part. And the whole part of, some people overstay their welcome in a relationship, like you said, out of fear, possibly not getting into another one. And some of that, is the male female dynamic, you know, because those are sometimes more complex than possibly your female relationships because they carry a whole lot of weight. More emotions are involved. Um, and just when I just think of relationships as overall, there is such a connection that you have. And when there is no connection, and us married folks know this, when we don't feel connected to our spouse, there is just an uneasiness that you feel within your spirit, within your whole being. And
Yes.
it's like, I got to make that right. Either we got to have a conversation or, there has to come to some understanding. Why are we here? And I think in every relationship, whether it's a professional one, a personal one, or a social one, if there's ever a time you're in a relationship and there is some uneasiness, why not confront it to know rather than assume? Why not just say, okay, I don't like what's happening here. Did I do something wrong? How can we make this better? Communication is always key. I'm not the best communicator.
I think that's what we might
I'm
need to
just
work on is communications, because everybody, I should say everybody, kind of speak for everybody, because I have that this sometimes of communicating because I don't want to say the wrong things. Because if you say the wrong thing, and inside of you, you're saying, "Well, I didn't mean it that way," but then that person could take it that way, and
mhm.
then when that person takes it that way, now you're in defense because it's like, but I ain't really mean it like that. That's not how I was trying to come across. So yeah, we have to work on that communication piece of it, and it's just not in your intimate relationships. It's in relationships, period.
every, I mean, in every facet, and just talking. Like, offense happens so easy.
Yes.
It happens so easy. And it has broken up a lot of relationships. It has broken up a lot of friendships, marriages, got people fired, you know, and the whole nine. But there's a level of maturity that we must come into. We're going to make mistakes, of course, And again, I said, I am not the best communicator, but when something is not right, I am going to confront it. And if we are in a relationship, love covers a multitude of sin. So if you got love for me, I got love for you. I should be able to come to my brother and sister and say, this is the art that I'm feeling right now, and have us come to some type of medium. And if we can't, we bring somebody else in who's a little bit more mature than possibly us two who are having the offense, so that we have a mediation, because we want to always get back to love.
Mhm.
We want to always get back to love if we can. Because again, that speaks to what you were saying, Andre. No one can really be, we wasn't meant to be by ourselves, really. You have some people with a temperament who are loners, who prefer to be by themselves, but they still got to go to the grocery store. They still got
Yeah,
to go to,
they still gotta
um,
go out.
exactly, because people is everywhere, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
so, not knocking anyone if that is what they, prefer.
Yeah.
And there could be a reason for that. There's all sorts of trauma,
Yep.
that person goes through.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not healed in some areas, like I had to work on my healing because rejection and abandonment was like two briefcases. I mean, full on luggage. Like I was going somewhere every day that I carried. And if anyone said anything to me that I did not like, listen, tears would flow. Um, I would be mad. I'd be agitated and ain't open my mouth about nothing. Suppressing all this. Now I'm depressed. Now I'm angry. Now I kind of distant myself, from them. I'm not one who goes gossiping and all that. I don't do that. But however, once I understood some things about me, and this is when I had to walk in my truth and just being authentic and learning myself that those people that are around me, first, I really surround myself with people who are smarter than me. So I'm not always pouring. So I'm not always the one, come to me. I got all the wisdom. I got all the advice. No. Because when we come into relationship, you add to me just as I add to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when it becomes one-sided, this is where also some of the pressure comes in. Oh, they only call me when they only, we only go out and then I'm the one always paying and, whatever the circumstances may be, but I really think that whenever you come into whatever type of relationship, whatever it may look like, that you're coming in with the full understanding of honesty of what you want out of the relationship. That works not just for a male and female, that also works for friendships, you
Mm-hmm.
know, in terms of sisterhood, you know, laying a foundation, having an understanding, and getting to know the person. I got to know Trina's strengths. And I also got to know her weaknesses because then I know how to care for her.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Then I know how to speak to her. And I know how to speak to that part of her that I know is already grown. You're just blocking something because either you're fearing something, but that again, that goes in cultivation. When you go in and you start building friendships and things of that nature, and then you start to build upon it day by day, you're cultivating soil. You're moving that thing around. You are planting seeds. It's not for you to sit there and watch it grow, but it is for you to be able to pour and to be able to have, some realness. People want real relationships. They don't want anything manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
You can get that elsewhere. You don't want any of that.
It was something you said, and I want to point this out. What Levon said too, about mediating is great because I think Pastor Battle is doing a series right now on living without offense, living
Mm,
without offense. And you talked about identifying it. I think sometimes when we get offended, we don't want to have that conversation that we've been offended, right? We want to just try and suppress it and not deal with it because we're like, oh, in my head, if I say something, if I bring it up, then the conversation goes completely left. But part of dealing with the offense and letting someone know, hey, what you said to me just offended me, is we have to say something. Like there's a way to communicate, hey, I've been hurt by what you said, that
mm-hmm.
it where it doesn't become a negative thing. Like everything doesn't have to be a fight. It doesn't have to be a battle for you to get your point across. Like you're not trying
Right.
to prove anybody right. You're just saying, listen, when you said this, this is what I felt. This is what I heard. And then what you're saying, getting into things being taken out of context, because sometimes the way someone delivers a message to us isn't what we naturally hear, right? Because
Right.
if we're not, what is it, listening to, if we're not hearing to listen, or is it listen to hear, whatever that saying is, if we are, playing a conversation. Well, if she say this, I'm gonna say that. Da, da,
Oh
da.
yeah.
Then I'm not really listening, right? So
Mm,
then let's say he says something. I'm only half hearing what he said, and unless I tell him, you know what, babe, when you said this, this is what I felt. He like, no, 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 that's not what I was trying to tell you. Then we can clean it up. But
mm-hmm.
if I never come to him and say, listen, this really hurt my feelings, because I'm just gonna go back. Well, God, you're gonna have to deal with that. No, 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 no. I have to be able to communicate with him. So if I can't have the conversation and say, listen, you hurt my feelings when you said this, or this is
Right.
how I felt, then we never get to the point of, let me go ahead. Now we resolve the issue. So now whenever something comes back up, I never go back to that, the feeling I had that I suppressed, because we got it out the open.
Mm-hmm. And one thing you don't want to build is resentment
That part.
and
Yep.
bitterness, you know, and that whole back and forth. Because sometimes as women, we can really be in our head. We can flip this about about 1,000 ways, Andre, before you even come back with a comeback. We done already stated it, worked it out, already in our head. And sometimes a message sent is not always received in the way that it was really intended. And so I'm telling you, I have assumed a whole lot. And assumption makes,
Th-
so I have just assumed, and it wasn't even what I thought it was. But had I been mature enough to say, hey, when you said this, rather than get upset about it, pout about it, then, keep a record of wrongs, you know, and rather than confront it, I mean, the energy that is wasted, the mind energy that is wasted,
Mhm.
the division within your own household or relationships, that is wasted, because really we have no time to waste, not in this day and age.
Right.
So handle it quickly, that offense, so that one, you can move on and that God can continue to bless you, and whatever it is that you're trying to
Mhm.
do. So yeah,
I
offenses
wanna,
are very real.
yes, I wanna, Tiffany had made this comment, and I want to talk about this because I think sometimes when we are having a conversation, we may listen to respond, because I'm like, okay, let me jump in here, let me jump in here, let me jump in here and say what I need to say.
Right.
But in doing that, we can miss part of the conversation because we're so ready to respond, and rather than just let me sit and process what they just said. So then you have a decision. Do I respond, or do I say nothing in this moment? Because sometimes somebody might have a conversation and it's not meant for us to respond to. Because you like, well, you said that. That's not my truth. I don't need to prove to anybody else that that's not my truth, because I know deep down inside. And so I think if we are listening to respond, we just have to be mindful and be careful about that, because waiting to respond or trying to respond may cause us to jump into the conversation too soon. When God might be like, I never told you to say anything. I just wanted you to sit and listen for a minute.
Right.
Because
I would say that as a man, that's the first thing that we do, especially if our wife says anything, right? We always go to how can I fix the problem? But sometimes it's not for us to fix it. But that's the first thing that goes to our mind. All right, how can I fix the problem? But
Mhm.
sometimes it might just sit there and just let her talk because maybe she don't want you to fix this problem. She may need to fix this on her own. But I would say that because be like, especially when she was an accountant. It was some times where I wanted to go to the job, but I'm like, I
baby, you
can't go
can't.
to the job. I can't go to the job. I can't go that route. You know.
Right.
But yeah, I can speak for myself. I try not to speak for all men and say for all men, but definitely for myself. Um, we do the same thing because we may stop listening and just in our head now, how can I fix the problem? Then we've missed everything else because in there you might have said, "I don't need you to do anything. I just wanted you to listen to me. But we didn't hear that part
Yeah.
because we already up here. All right, what I gotta do to fix this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Cause you tired of the want. You know what I mean? Like that's how sometimes I think that's how I visualize some things sometimes. Like when you got the woman just completely going off on her spouse and it's just like want. But I also want to talk about Lavon's comment right here. Sometimes you have to create the safe space and maintain low tones when speaking your truth. Tone is everything.
It's everything.
It is everything because we may have the greatest intentions with speaking our truth, but if our tone is loud or just like you can feel it's the rise coming up, that
Mm-hmm.
message will never be received.
Nope.
So it's so important to make sure that that you're in the environment where you can speak your truth, what needs to be said, without feeling like the other person is being um it's not intimidated. Like they just the bottom of your
Nah,
shoes.
intimidated is
Well,
one of it
okay,
too,
okay.
because
But
sometimes our tones can be intimidating, and I'm guilty of it when it comes to when I might get to a frustrated point that I use a different tone.
just say
Mm-hmm.
So
calm down.
yeah, yeah, I actually use a tone that I shouldn't have
Select
used
comparing.
earlier. Yeah, I used a tone earlier that I shouldn't have used, and I wouldn't have been able to admit this if I didn't have these working things going through me. So I think I owe some people an apology.
Mm-hmm. That's growth.
That's growth.
That's growth right there. And that whole thing of listening to respond instead of listening to understand, sometimes, sometimes it is just a heart issue. It is really just a heart issue. And like Dr. Shaw was saying, creating safe spaces where you feel free enough to share, where you feel free enough to ask the question. Um, Tone
Mm,
definitely is. What'd you say, Dre?
somebody on here, doctor. I heard Doctor Shaw, and I was like, "Dang, we got a doc in the house."
Levon. My bad. Yes, Levon. Levon is the
That what that one was? Man, I knew that. I knew that. I knew that. I said, I
Woo!
just gotta get this. I gotta get them one in there. No,
That's funny.
Yes.
but like I said, I need to apologize. So I apologize, babe, for my tone earlier.
You good, babe. You good. I already know.
I love
So I'm trying to keep on going. Sorry.
Okay, so here's my next question because
I love it.
you just talked about this too. When we are looking at our authenticity and our individuality, that requires us to be bold and embrace who we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
What advice do you give to the beautiful woman that's on here that may have some insecurities about being bold, being courageous, right? So when she is in the room or when she's creating her own tables, that can feel like, oh, this is where I'm supposed to be. Instead of feeling like, am I really supposed like God, did you call me? Is this really my calling?
They can
Like,
hang
did
out
you
with me
tell
for a
me this is
while.
where I was supposed to sit? Like, because with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You created your own tables. Like the black woman's experience, the strategy, like all of that was what you created to say, you know what, nobody else is doing this. Nobody is creating spaces where women can come in and truly feel safe. Like, okay, yeah, we got all of those things, but just if I'm y'all, when the dream, like, there's dreams on the beach, there's the black woman's experience, and then strategy. Like, it truly is a beautiful encounter. Like, it's a whole experience. And
Right.
so to see, dreams on the beach is 3, right? 3.
Mm-hmm.
To see how, like with that one, when you said it, the invites only go to who God placed on your heart.
Yes.
And to know, okay, 2 years, and we're like, okay, Yodel, this is a little bit like this. You need to open it on up, and you
Mhm.
did that, but it was still whoever God placed on your heart, and to know that there's so much intention behind what you create. Because like when you say no drama,
No time for
no
that.
no drama. Like I remember your words when you was just like, they're not coming. If there's drama coming with it, they're not coming, because you understand the importance of creating that safe space.
Mhm. Because first and foremost, God gave me those visions.
There we go.
And when God gave me those visions, He gave them to me to carry them out. And I'm not allowing anyone, no people pleasing here when it comes to the vision and what I'm creating, because that space is going to set another woman free, or that space is going to give her the liberation that she needs, that she may very well have hidden within herself. And so, if I'm able to open a door, if I'm able to create a seat, because you are special, but first you're special to God. I don't care if no one told you today that you are loved. God has already told you that when He said that you were fearfully and wonderfully made. So, I have a full understanding that sometimes the woman who comes into the room is afraid. The woman who comes into the room has this little girl inside of her that just needs to be nurtured, who just needs to be loved upon. And sometimes that can just come in the form of another sister wrapping her arms around her with a hug.
Mm-hmm.
When I create a sparkling relationship, it's like a spark, and this could be our first time meeting, but when you get that aha moment, or when you leave a person's presence and you like, oh, she good people. Or, oh, I really like her. Or, Andre, you said, oh, he cool. He down to earth, because discernment is always key. Never leave home without it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
you know. Always surround yourself with the right people. What it say? Bad company corrupts good character.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but this year for Dreams on the Beach, it was who God laid on my heart, but people started inviting other people, right? Now, who am I to deny a sister to have a seat? I met one young lady, it was less than 2 months that I met her at a conference, but I knew we connected. And I called her up. We connected at the conference, and I called her. I said, she's a therapist. I said, would you come and be a panelist? She said, absolutely. Who does that? And I say, God, when you are strategically aligned, God will align things right for you. But first, you have to come, sometimes just come naked.
Yeah.
I mean, you got on clothes, but I'm just saying, just come naked.
What was
Just
that?
come open.
Naked and unafraid.
That's right.
Tiff
Tiffany,
said she
you
gonna
bring,
bring 59 people.
Make sure I
Look,
don't bring 59
everybody just bring
issues.
a tent. Bring a tent.
hey, each one teach one.
Man.
That's how it is. But that woman, I tell you, walk in the room with your head held high and really understand that you belong there. Own your power. Take up space. You know, this whole woman who shaped the world campaign that I'm doing, you know, the love has already been there. I mean, you're already that it girl. You're already a legacy builder. You're already an architect. You're already that innovator. It's just sometimes you hide your talents, and sometimes it just takes other people possibly to help you unleash it. What did Tiffany say again?
You know it's Tiff. You
Is it
know,
Tiffany?
I'm
you
about to
would
show
know
you.
it's
So
Tiffany.
everybody can see what we laughing at.
And it's so funny that she said, "What did Tiffany say now?"
That's right. Own your power. Yes, come naked, Tiffany. Well, you do that every time you come.
Oh, the hutter.
You
Everybody
know,
gonna appreciate it.
Oh God.
and I'm just saying, in all your nakedness, you're safe.
Mm-hmm. Like you
That's
said, creating that safe space is first and foremost.
yeah, that's the key to everything. If you can't create that safe space for someone to be vulnerable, then you really haven't created the sparkling relationship, right? Because if I, we're having a conversation, but I can't trust you with what I'm telling you, or I can't I can't let the wall down so that if you have truth that needs to be spoken to me to
Hmm.
get me out of the gutter, if we've never created that relationship, then I can never receive what you have to tell me. It could be with the best intent. It might be the message God needs for me to know. But because I still got the wall up because I don't feel safe with you, then that message never gets to me.
That's right.
And it's so important. Like when I just can't, I got more male friends than we got to change that narrative because women can get along.
They
But
can.
it's just we have to one understand there is no competition in
Yeah.
anything that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you look at how all of us are connected, like each of us does the same thing, but it's still so different.
Hmm.
And it's when you go to events and you're networking and you meet another designer, you meet another author, another speaker, whatever person, you got to understand it's no competition. It's plenty of money for everybody to go
Mm-hmm.
after.
That's
Yep.
right.
It's
Yep.
plenty of people for us
Each
to
one
connect
teach
with,
one.
right?
Yep.
Because if we can say, okay, how can we build something, like let's talk about collaborating.
Yeah.
Right, you got two authors. Why don't y'all do a book signing or do a book speak or reading
A
or
book launch
right,
together. You
right.
know.
Or if you got, coaches, like do something empowering. Like think about you can reach more people when we collaborate than if
Hmm.
we are sitting steadily trying to compare because we're in competition with each other. Like we build off of each other when we can be like, you know what? I can't, I'll say, I can't, like I'm at the pop up that I'm at. It's so many people in there that design jewelry or have, cups and things like that. And somebody comes up and like, do you have this? No, I don't, but she might, and I'll send them across the way or to another
Hmm.
set. Like that's how it has to be. Like
That's how it should be.
that's how it should be.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not
Ain't no
always like that.
right.
That's right.
But that's where it's like, no, if God is giving me the gift, then the person that's assigned to my assignment is going to find me regardless of whether we're in the same room or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how we have to think about it. There should be no competition.
But not to, I'm always
I know.
devil advocate. That's what the world has created us to be, though.
But and that's
Where
where
we as the people have to make that change because they know there's strength in numbers. They know this, and so it's all designed to separate us.
yep.
All right, and at one point it was the separation of color, right?
Hmm.
Now it's the separation of color and class. So you got
Yeah.
upper class, middle class, lower class. All right, if we keep them separated from them, but it's all designed. So we as the people have to put a stop to it. We gotta put the stop to it and say, nah, it's strength in numbers. We don't need to fight against you, but we just gonna stay unified so that way we can continue to grow together.
Mhm.
Because we have this crab and umbrella effect. No, man, it should be, oh, I'm at the top. I'm gonna throw you the rope. Or I'm gonna throw you some tidbits to say, okay, how you get up there? What steps did you take? So let me help you out. I'll put the floor plan down because I already made it to the top. Let me put the floor plan down for you. Now it's still going to be a little bit more different than mine because your journey is different than mine. But at least
That's
I can
right.
help.
Yep.
And that's why, you know, in terms of, the session that I'm bringing to a beautiful encounter, everything starts with you first. However, you have to make sure that you're in a relationship that's going to make you shine, that's really going to make you shine. And that whole collaboration piece, I love it because when we come together collectively, again, that adding value, I get to pour into you, you get to pour into me.
Mm-hmm.
And none of us leave as if we're on empty
Yep.
because we have already edified each other enough where I'm good, you're good, and I'm going to make sure that you're good. How are you sparkling in your relationship? How are you showing up? What is your glow effect? What are you doing to better you? Because you can't be something that you're not. You can't want something that you're not if you don't know how to be it first.
Yep.
And so I can want and I can want to attract all these things. But first, I have to be it. And this again goes back to being authentic. This again being, you're not just being, you're becoming. And we as women, we're always evolving. So who we are right now doesn't mean this is who we're going to be next week. Because I always want to be better today than I was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have that type of heart, will you want to see your sister sparkle? Will you want to see her shine? You're going to do with anything within your power to make sure that that happens. I am just so thankful for the women that God has connected me with, that I get to get the sun, the clouds sometimes, the rain, the joy, the pain, the pruning process. I get to plant, I get to uproot, I get to shake the tree, I get to draw pictures, we get to laugh, we get to
Mm-hmm.
do all those things because it's all a part of life.
Yep.
It's all a part of who we are. And collectively, if you have a true understanding that relationships, God created that.
Mm-hmm.
He created that. We're not doing him a favor in any way other than to be in harmony. When we got married, when we took our spouse last name and all that, we became one. Or we supposed to be becoming one, but you got
Supposed to be working to become one.
two imperfect people coming together trying to become one. And that's growth. But it's still a relationship that takes time. You know, um, in my session, I mean, we're gonna be creative. I'm giving away stuff, okay? Y'all gonna get some prizes. But we're gonna also just engage and have a conversation because relationships are so important. And that whole narrative about women don't get along, I don't have it in my circle.
Mm-hmm.
I again, this is what pains me when people, and sometimes they may not have an outlet to be able to pour that or have somebody that they can call. So sometimes they may have to put it out, you know, about certain situations that come about in friendship. And again, it pains me because I want this for everybody. But I
Mm-hmm.
understand not everybody has, these besties or these women who have matured and walked a distance, you know, who don't mind sharing, who are not a gatekeeper, don't mind helping you and want something in return, not going to talk about you behind your back. I'm just so thankful. And again, I had to be that first. I had to be that first to Katrina. When I asked, whether it's her, Sabrina, Dershawn, Erlene, Natalie, Curlin, I mean, I have a list. Lisa Curran. If I ask anyone of them, I'm in need of this, guess what? I'm no longer going to be in need
Yep.
if they have it. And they already know the heart exchange is the same way. And I so bad want this for every woman, you know, to have this type of encounter. But again, it takes work, just like a fine diamond. You got to press that thing.
Yep.
It don't come out being a diamond. It
Right.
goes through some
Look
pressure.
what I do.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It goes through some pressure, and you know sometimes relationships are pressure. But if you stay in it long enough, I mean, and I'm not saying nobody stay in a relationship where you're not being treated
Right.
right. And let me just stay on just sisterhood, because it could be a whole gamut of things. But if you have a sister who is riding with you, who has exemplified good character, and she genuinely has love for you, nurture that relationship because it matters. Not everybody's going to have a high day every day. Sometimes we got to come down into the valley experiences, but there is where we grow. There's where we get to pour and help each other, you know?
Yep.
So that's how I look at cultivating relationships, and they're a building process.
Yep. So a beautiful encounter, right? Y'all get your tickets so you can see her. But this year's theme is living beautifully in power, purpose, and presence. What does living beautifully mean to you?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's like, dang, I need to write that down.
I'm telling you, that is a good question because living beautifully does not mean that every day is rainbows.
Hmm.
Yep.
Sometimes there's a cloud in the sky. Sometimes, and I love listening to rain. And some people don't like a cloudy day. But sometimes you just got to be still and get an understanding that, okay, it's raining, it's cloudy right now, but this too shall pass.
Yep.
And everything, there's a time and there's a reason, and then there's a meaning behind the reason. But if I'm so focused on looking at the immediate, that doesn't look good to me, that just doesn't look good to the naked eye, I miss the transformation that can be happening inside because beauty starts first inside.
Inside. Yep.
This right here, that, some people do a lot of little foundation here and there, whatever you need to do to add extra beauty because you're already beautiful. But that most beautiful part of you is that inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that
For the
inside,
beauty.
yeah, once that inside has really, matured herself, healed herself, I mean, you can't do nothing but drop sparkles of beauty everywhere you go because you're making deposits.
Yep.
Everywhere you go, you're making a beautiful deposit into somebody else or into your own day because we can't forget about ourselves. Make sure you're being beautiful to yourself. Make sure you're being kind to yourself because it is so important, you know.
I'm just gonna leave that up there. Just listen.
Just go ahead
Y'all,
and get the ticket.
y'all only have experienced just a small portion of what she is going to bring. I want to thank you, one, for joining us here tonight, but more importantly, for saying yes to speaking at a beautiful encounter. It is going to be amazing. I already know. So if you have not got your ticket, got your ticket, go
Get your
to
Get
ticket.
it
a beautiful
now.
get it now. Go to a beautifulencounter.com. There are payment plans on the website.
That part.
However, if
They tickets running out.
tickets if one of the options does not work for you, there is another option, but I'm only offering that if you reach out to me. So just let me know. But go get your tickets. We have two more speakers to announce, which we will announce not next week, but the week after for one, and then the week after for the other. But go get your tickets. It's going to be amazing. Go get your tickets now. because we got to finalize all the details. I can't have y'all waiting last minute. Like, come on, just get your ticket, get your ticket, get your. But thank you,
That's right.
beautiful.
Trina might
Thank
not be
you,
on live
beautiful.
with us next week. She might be in another. We might be on two different screens. She said she was leaving for spring break. Like, and Ariana
I
gonna be
didn't think
gone.
you
Kayla
heard
gonna
me.
be gone. It might just be me and the young man in the house. All
We might have to do two screens. Like, baby, I'll
yeah,
send you the
no.
link.
Nah. So I told her to go. I said go, go, go because this is new to you, you know. So go enjoy your time. Nigga be all right because I'll probably leave too.
But get your tickets for a beautiful encounter. Now, if they want to follow you, get some jewelry, if they want to learn more about Dreams on the Beach, Stra-Ta-Teas, a Black woman's experience, how can they connect with you to learn more?
We're on Facebook and Instagram at YODEL Jewelry Box. Just send me a DM or comment to anything that possibly I may post. But at YODEL Jewelry Box, just drop me a line. Say yes, I'm interested in coming to Dreams on the Beach because we really do have a good time there. I really created that space for us to let our hair down and just woosah, release, and really just come together collectively. Now, courageous conversation, come to the table ready to eat, but also ready to share. So, yes, if you're interested in any of those, please reach out.
Okay. Well, thank y'all for joining us on a beautiful encounter. Not a beautiful.
Oh,
Look, it's on my mind. Thank y'all
come
for
join us for the
come
beautiful
join us.
encounter.
Thank y'all for joining us on An Unscripted Beautiful Life. We will talk to y'all next
Yes.
week. Have a
All
good
right.
evening.
Thank you
Thank
for
you,
joining.
sis.
But thank you.
Bye, Mr. Beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Well, look, we always